Don't worry about him, I worry about my man. And I know that Conor Benn can win world titles in divisions below 160. He can sell out any arena in the country. He's one of the biggest, not just boxing stars in Britain, sports stars in Britain now.
But Conor's naturally fiery. Conor has that bit between his teeth. You know, he's his dad's son. His dad was as fiery as they come, and so was Conor. I think if Chris Eubank Jr. was placid and respectful, I think Conor would still be fiery.
These rematches with these types of intense fights taking place, like Conor and Eubank,
I'm trying to pull him.
a rematch right away will probably end their career. You know, it's that intense.
Do you see that fight happening? And do you think Ben won't get the better of Eubank?
I think Conor Benn beats Eubank.
Boxing storytellers sense Conor Benn rising to control the sequel against Chris Eubank Jr., and their belief lands heavy. Benn's youthful fire helps him find an edge his rival can't match. He once rocked Eubank Jr. in their first clash with punishing blows that connected and shook him through a renewed frame and a mindset built to finish what he began. Benn isn't simply chasing redemption. He's hunting a knockout that shows he absorbed the message from before.
The terms are already agreed for the rematch with to move forward. And it's the same as the first contract in that respect. So I think
the rematch between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. now arrives on Saturday, the 15th of November, 2025 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London after Eubank Jr. claimed a unanimous decision victory in April. The fierce rivals return again for a night framed as unfinished business to settle.
Ring Magazine breaking. Ring Magazine has learned Sella completed the deal for the highly anticipated Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn rematch on November 15th in Tottenham Stadium. The event will be presented as the Ring Unfinished Business. Not gonna lie, they kind of did finish the business the first time around. I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. won, but it was a great fight. It was probably fight of the year or one of the fights of the year. What we've seen this year in 2025. But that being said, it was interesting and there was always supposed to be a rematch clause, so we're running it back. Also, the event will be promoted by Sella and sponsored by Riyadh Season and the Ring Magazine. Here is the article. First it was off, then on, then off again. Now the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn is officially back on. The Ring has learned the deal to see them run it back from their April 26th showdown was completed through Sella on Tuesday. They will have approximately 3 months to prepare for their sequel to take.
Eubank Jr. has brought in coach Brian McIntyre, who once guided Terence Crawford to sharpen his game plan and turn a solid victory into a defining one. Brian insists that Eubank Jr. will be noticeably sharper this time. McIntyre says adding his relentless instinct mindset and polished game plan will give Chris the upper hand. He pointed out that Eubank already read Benn's rhythm in their first meeting, and this time the preparation should make the fight feel a little bit smoother. McIntyre praised Eubank Jr.'s attitude inside the gym ahead of the rematch, noting how Eubank works so hard and carries a deep intent for winning. McIntyre emphasized that unlike former camps, this time the preparation has full dedication and focus. Meanwhile, Benn enters driven by redemption, aiming to rewrite the narrative and prove his place as an elite fighter rather than a miss.
Chris Eubank Jr., you're with him for the rematch against Liam Smith. How did it come about, you coming back into camp with him for this one?
Well, while we was finishing up with Crawford, Chris's guys, they hit me up maybe a month out and asked me would I be, interested. I told them, of course, right away, because I felt like that me and Chris got a good repertoire together, we got a good relationship, and we come out with good results whenever we hook up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask actually. What made you jump straight back into it? I asked Chris almost the same question about you, what it was that he wanted to work with you for. What is it about Chris that you particularly enjoy training or working with? Well,
one thing about Chris when it comes to boxing is he's definitely got dog in him. Even though he maybe got 2 or 3 losses, he fights to the nail. He fights to the end, tooth and nail. It's not hard to get him to do anything because it's always yes coach, yes coach, yes coach. Go in there and get in the day in the gym is wonderful because you ain't got to yell at him or nothing. We just go to what we need to go to, and we get the job done.
How much would you say your relationship with him has evolved from kind of working with him first time to now working with him for a second time?
I think it's beautiful now. He's talking a little bit more in camp, so that just makes it seem like he's a little bit more.
British middleweight contender Hamza Shiraz has openly voiced confidence in Conor Benn's chances against Chris Eubank Jr. in their rematch. Shiraz, who has long shown interest in challenging Eubank Jr. himself, believes that Benn's relentless approach and high-pressure style could truly unlock victory.
Won't get the better of Eubank?
I think Conor Benn beats Eubank, but I kind of need Eubank to win. Do you know what I mean? For myself, from a selfish perspective, I need him to win.
Did you want to fight him?
Yeah, exactly.
Would it be the first defence if you win that, or when you win that WBC title? Is that someone that you would choose?
100%. 100%. As long as obviously everyone's okay with it, it'd be that. I mean, why not? It'd be the biggest fight for me next in boxing, and I haven't got long left in the 160-pound division, so it's not me going on about taking certain defences.
Dave Caldwell broke down the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn on TalkSport, offering a thoughtful read on both men. He noted that, on paper, Eubank Jr.'s size should give him the edge, yet he also highlighted real vulnerabilities that could tilt things Benn's way. Caldwell stressed that Benn's non-stop pressure and ability to land sharp, clean shots could become dangerous, especially if Eubank feels the drain of the weight cut. Though he held back from making a firm prediction, he made it clear that Benn has a genuine opening, particularly if Eubank Jr. fades in the later rounds. In the end, he explained that if Eubank Jr. isn't operating at his peak, Benn could flip the script, turning this into a matchup where anything can happen.
I think the bigger man should win, but the bigger man's he's not great himself. You know, when we talk about a good big and beats a good little, listen, you've got to remember, Eubank's not great. And in his last fight, I thought he looked old. It's the first time I've looked at him.
In Riyadh, I agree with you. He got
Gareth, I thought he looked old.
Yeah.
I thought he looked old. Yeah. And if age is catching up on you, and listen, don't forget, his father has always banged on about him sparring heavyweights. When they were working together, and it was always talking about he spars heavyweights, he stands there as well. That shortens your lifespan in boxing. That has an effect. And if time has now come onto it, he's 35 years old. He's struggling to make the weight. Time comes onto you. You've got again. Benn might not be the biggest.
Eddie Hearn has underscored just how much of a disadvantage Conor Benn is stepping into. He's moving up 2 full weight divisions, a jump that can dramatically affect a fighter's performance. When boxers move up, they often struggle to absorb the extra power, keep the same endurance, and deal with the sheer physical strength of naturally bigger opponents. Benn will be standing across from Chris Eubank Jr., a man fully settled and comfortable at this weight, making the task even steeper. Many in the boxing world see the matchup as uneven simply because of that size gap. The real worry comes from Benn taking that 2-division leap to face someone who has spent most of his career at a higher weight. It's a move that raises legitimate questions about whether Benn can withstand the physical demands and punching power at super middleweight. And in a sport where size and weight so often shape the outcome, the advantage seems to lean heavily toward Eubank Jr.
Brook went up to fight Gennady Golovkin at middleweight. Guess what? There was a hydration clause with the IBF, and Gennady Golovkin makes it absolutely easily, as will Chris Eubank. But it's just, that's our job. And no need to moan about it. If you didn't want to do it, you didn't have to have it in there. But they know it's not a big deal. But who is at the bigger disadvantage? Conor Benn, coming up 2 divisions. And Chris Eubank just weighs in what he always weighs in. You know, that whole, they're stripping him down to 160. It's his fucking weight. I don't understand. Stop listening to Simon Jordan.
It's a mismatch. It's an entertaining matchup.
Why is it a mismatch?
Because of ability, because of weight classes. Chris Jr. is a middleweight and a super middleweight. You know, he's naturally a super middleweight. So, he's having to starve himself to come down and, with all the catch weights and all of this stuff, it's a mismatch. He is operated at world level. He's been in with the likes of George Groves and, the list goes on. It's a mismatch in ability and
Spencer Finn, a respected boxing analyst, points to the deep-rooted history linking the Eubank and Benn families. He explains that this rivalry, born from their fathers' legendary battles decades ago, creates a powerful narrative surrounding the matchup. Finn notes that the way this feud has passed from one generation to the next has captured the public's imagination, turning the fight into one of the most talked-about events of the year. The weight of that history doesn't just add intrigue, it also places extra pressure on both men to protect and honor their family legacies.
And the hatred that he has, and I know when you really dislike someone, it brings something out of you. But you know, I'm looking forward to that fight for the simple fact is like that event within itself is fantastic because it's crossed over. Lots of people are talking about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. There was nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely excellent. And plus, I can remember when the two fathers first fought, and the second time is when they fought in October of of '93. But when the fathers first fought, when they first went at it, I remember that fight clearly in my head. It was a Sunday night. It was at November 18th, 1990, and it was like it seemed like the world stopped to watch that fight. And this has drawn something from it because everybody's talking about it. And fair play to both men. They're selling the fight really well, which is genuine. It's not orchestrated. Oh, you're going to do this. No, it's proper. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Carl Froch has weighed in on Conor Benn, describing him as a talented young man, yet stressing that he hasn't faced top-level competition. Froch points out that Benn remains untested against the elite and hasn't yet shown the refined skills required to control fights at the highest tier. He also highlighted that Benn has been largely inactive in the ring for the past 3 years, a factor that could hinder his performance when stepping up to challenge a fighter of Eubank's caliber.
Benn, I mean, this is a guy that's not fought in Britain for 3 years. I think his last fight was in April 2022. And every time he talks, every time he gets in Chris Eubank's face over the last couple of days, I do feel for him a little bit. Can I first just say that Conor Benn, I know him and I've met him a few times, and he's such a nice kid, such a lovely young man. And when I say that, I mean, he's lovely, and he's obviously a fighter, and he wants to get in there and he wants to do some damage and hurt his opponent and get the knockout, and that's how he fights, and he's exciting when he fights. But he's not fucking fought anybody. And he's talking like a roadman killer. He's not been busy, he's fought no one. And can you answer me a question as well? What's happening with this drug testing issue? Is he banned? Is he serving a ban? Is there any official news? Because as far as I know, he's still not got a British Boxing Board of Control licence to fight. He still can't box. So does anybody know? Let me know in the comments. Is Conor Benn serving a ban and it's a silent ban? They're not telling us about it. I'm not sure what the genuine beef is with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. I know they've got the history, like I've mentioned, the father's name. Chris Eubank seems quite chilled and quite happy and smiley, but every time Conor Benn comes into close proximity with Chris Eubank Jr, he turns into a roadman killer, doesn't he? He's got serious beef. Every time he gets in his face, he puts it on him. Says he don't like him, he even hates him. He wants to smash his head in. I'm like, is this just selling the fight, or is this genuine need? And if it is genuine need, what's it for? Is it why you got so much beef? Is it just because of the family name? Conor Benn could do with winning this because he's 28 years old, and moving forward, he's got a potential bright future ahead of him. Chris Eubank Jr wins this fight. I'm not sure what doors it opens for him or where it takes him at 35 years old, because in my opinion, at this age of your boxing career, then you've only got 2 or 3 years.
Froch went on to say that this fight doesn't carry much excitement. He noted that Chris Eubank Jr rarely fights, usually stepping into the ring just once a year. Meanwhile, Conor Benn has done little to prove himself as a serious contender at this weight. Froch argues that the difference in their weight classes turns this bout into more of a mismatch than a true competition. As a result, fans might not witness the level of action they hope for, given the clear gap in their natural fighting weights.
Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight does absolutely nothing for me.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. lost to George Groves, he lost to Billy Joe Saunders, he doesn't box, he boxes once a year. He looked terrible in his last fight. He was slow with his jab, he was leaving his chin in the air, his balance looks like it's gone. He's 36 years old, talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez and taking on all these top, he was talking about Triple G for a while, who's now gone 40 and retired. Conor Benn, what's Conor Benn done?
Not a lot, to be fair.
He beat Chris Algieri and failed, he's failed that drugs test. We're not seeing him do anything. He's fought nobody, he's not developed. He's not developed, he's done nothing. So for Conor Benn to jump in there with Chris Eubank Jr, the only reason that fight would be close is because they're probably going to drain Eubank down to 160, a middleweight. And then, but Conor Benn's having to come up from 147. So
the gap there
it's not an exciting fight. He don't prove anything.
Conor Benn is going full throttle ahead of his rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. He's moved his camp back to Essex, training out of a private annex on his own land, keeping himself focused while still being able to see his kids between sessions. This time, he's also honing his mental game. Ben has adopted Wim Hof's breathing and emotional control techniques to ensure he stays calm, calculated, and razor-sharp when the pressure hits.
Mentally. 36 minutes we did straight, no breaks, back and forth.
Felt like my soul left my body and come back.
That's
Like you hit me, I fell asleep, you want me back up.
You know, it's mentally, you gotta just, sometimes you switch off, sometimes you take a dip, bring yourself back, keep going.
If you can't afford to switch off. Do you know what I mean?
That's why we're getting mentally prepared. It's hard, like you said, it's harder in here than it is in the ring.
But then, Thursday, 12 steps, killer. By the end of the week, you just like...
I got them tomorrow.
You were like dreaming, weren't you?
I skipped the sprints.
You were still dreaming. He was dreaming about me running.
I skipped the sprints, but I got them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker. Chris, he's hitting hard. He hit me today, I nearly went to sleep. Don't be getting, yo, listen, he's gonna...
I knew it. I thought I seen something.
Nah, listen, honestly,
The rivalry between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. stretches back decades, rooted in legendary boxing families. Their fathers, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr., were icons of the sport, famous for their brutal clashes in the 1990s. The idea of their son stepping into the ring reignited that legacy, sparking enormous public interest and anticipation.
You, Nigel, I mean, it's clear that you guys are very, very close.
Yeah.
The reports are that Chris Eubank Sr. isn't quite currently as close with his son as you guys are. How does that make you feel, and why is it important?
Well, I would like to stop you there.
Go
First
for it.
of all, you know, Chris, you know what, he's your son, mate. You know, come be there, mate. This is a family affair, mate. We need you there, mate. You know, we can just catch up on old times. So it'd be good to see you there.
Roy Jones Jr. doesn't hesitate to pick a side in the clash between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. He believes Eubank Jr. takes it easily, citing 3 key advantages: experience, size, and superior overall skill. Jones acknowledges that Benn could create trouble if he connects with the perfect punch, but overall, Eubank leads on almost every front, provided he stays focused and steers clear of any traps.
It's going to be hard for him to beat Chris Eubank because Chris Eubank is first bigger, he's faster, he hits harder, he's had more experience in really big fights. I don't see how...
Simon Jordan, famous for his blunt front row takes on British boxing, didn't hold back ahead of the Chris Eubank Jr. vs. Conor Benn 2 clash. He called it a cash grab spectacle, fueled more by hype than merit, likening it to a bar fight, and if bar fights are your thing, that's fine. Jordan argues neither fighter has truly earned an elite billing, and that the rematch is being sold for profit rather than legacy. He added that the real, unfinished business isn't about settling scores, it's about squeezing more money from everyone eager to watch the same drama all over again.
Getting interested in it this time.
No, you know, look, I think it's
I think you will next week.
Well, you can think again then. I mean, the terminology unfinished business is the only thing that's unfinished about it. They didn't manage to rinse enough money out of people the first time round. Unfinished what? Fight was won. What we got returned for? What's the return for?
But look, you know it more than me. This is what happens in boxing.
Show business, absolutely.
But if Ben wins this time around, you know what's happening. There we are for the trilogy.
You can choreograph another one so that we can all sit there and rinse some more money out of it.
That's boxing.
I think there's better things to be doing than watching Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. I think there are more meaningful fights that both of them could have had with more substance. I don't begrudge them earning money. If people are foolish enough to want to put this kind of money in these two fighters' hands, I know they turn around and say, oh, it was a wonderful fight. It was a wonderful fight. They left everything in the ring. So they should. I've seen just as good a fights in Witherspoons. So with due respect to the boxing profession.
Nonsense.
I think it's
You weren't there first time around. It was brilliant.
I watched it on the Sunday morning. I don't deny the spectacle. I don't deny the noise and the show business element of it. I don't deny Chris Eubank's innate ability to be able to be so charismatic in press conferences. He's overreached this time with his nonsense. But the fact is that I don't appreciate it. I don't value it as a fight. I don't value the circus around it. I don't buy into the nostalgia crap. I don't. And people can say I'm mean-spirited. I just have a different view of it. And so that means that everyone that goes to enjoy it, worry about your enjoyment. Don't worry about my lack of enjoyment.
You're clinging to this view. One man's view. I mean, are you more against it this time than you were the first time around?
I think a lot of people are not particularly enamoured by it. Ask Frank Warren what he thinks of it. People might say because he hasn't got any skin in the game and ain't making any money out of it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is...
Who do you see taking the rematch, Conor Benn or Chris Eubank Jr.? Share your prediction in the comments below.